Alright, today you've already got experience with single arrays. Let's take a look at double arrays. Now, double arrays are like single arrays in the way that we talked about buckets and storing uh, things in the bucket. But in double arrays, we have different buckets that have other buckets inside of it. Now, confused so far? You should be. So let's take a look at it. In this declaration of a double array, you'll notice that it looks just like a single declaration, only that I have a comma in between the brackets here. And what that means is that I'll have two arrays combined inside. And the way it's represented is like with rows and columns. Now, I use a comma for every single new array I want to put in there. So this could be a triple array by putting another comma in there, or like we have it here, it's a double array because I just have one comma, so one on each side. Now the best way to look at it is at the declaration right here. When I get just like when you declare a regular array, this double array has a 3 and a 2, and this 3 represents 3 buckets across, and inside those 3 buckets, this number 2 represents that there's 2 buckets inside of the 3 buckets across. Now I drew this picture here, this amazing picture that you can see here. I think I would have submitted to Hallmark or something and have them produce this because this is golden. But this picture here represents that the 3 buckets across, and then I have 2 buckets that are in each individual bucket that's 3 across. So in each one of the 3 across, I have 2 buckets placed in it, and I color coded it by this green and purple and teal color here. So the 3 right here, 0, 1, 2, because like the other arrays we did, it starts counting from 0, and 2 buckets in each one of these, so 0 and 1, because once again we're starting to count from 0 inside each bucket. So this is a pretty good picture representation of what we're doing right here. The buckets across and each bucket that are in each one of the bigger buckets. So how do we access this? Well, in math you use matrices and different things, and that might be familiar to you to think about it this way. I talk about buckets a lot, and maybe that'll help you as well. If you look at position 0, 0, which is this bucket, followed by this bucket, so you have to use both. So in position 0 of the first one, and then position 0 again down here, I get the value of 5 placed in this bucket. So all these buckets that are here, all they do is hold other buckets. They don't really store a value in them, they just store buckets inside of their buckets. Okay, so 0, 0 gets the value of 5. 0, 1 down here stores the value of 10. 1, 0 stores 12. 1, 1 stores 15. 2 zeros stores 23, and 2 1 stores 28, just like we did in our code right here. So hopefully either this makes sense to you, or the picture makes sense to you. Or maybe both make sense to you, which if it does, you're ahead of the game. And down here, I just wrote out to the console position 0, 1, and it should print 10 when I do that. I just wanted to show you an example of how to print a specific position. Alright, so let's take a look at that. Go ahead and minimize that guy. Control F5, and it does print 10 right up top. Now, this is something different. You know about for loops, but you don't know about ForEach loops. At ForEach loops, I want to introduce it here because what it does is actually it'll print all your elements in the array. Now in a single array, you could just use a regular for loop and just loop through the array, and that'll be fine. But a for each loop is a little bit helpful when you have to print out an array that's like this, a double array. You know, you would have to use a double for loop to print out a double array in other languages. But in this one, in C#, we could use this for each loop. And this is how it's declared right here, where it types for each, and it has a data type, and this data type has to match the data type of the array. And since we have an int array, I declared a variable called print that's a type int. And so you have the for each, the data type that matches the array, and the array, and a keyword in the middle called in. So if you read it across, it says for each int in double array, go ahead and print it. So they kind of wanted to make it sound like English a little bit so you understand it better, and it does kind of make sense. The for each int, we called it print, inside of double array, we want to print it, and this helps you print the array out. You notice I don't have to use another any brackets or use another double for loop or anything like that. This simplified piece of code here will print everything that's in the double array, starting from 0 to 1 to 2. So it'll print everything that's in 0, everything that's in 1, and everything that's in 2 in order. So if we ran this, control F5, you'll notice that it did. I printed a 10, which is what this specific position was. Then we printed 5, 10, 5, 10, 12, 15, 23, and 28, right? 23 and 28? Yep. Printed everything in order. And let's take a look back at the for each loop again, just to make sure we understand it. This variable on the left side has to match the data type of the right side. So this is an int, this double array that we declared. So everything that copies the values over into this variable called print, it has to be the same data type, right? Because all the values that's inside a double array get put into print, so they have to match. So if I actually declare this like a string, it knows that I get an error because it doesn't match the data type. And there, it's happy again. So this looks funky in the beginning, but it's very powerful and very easy to use. And this line here obviously just prints out what the PRNT got. So as it loops through the double array, each value, for instance the first one, 5, gets placed into PRNT, and then I print it out, and then I keep on going until this double array is finished. You notice that, like in a for loop, you have to put down array.length or something like that, or if you want to stop at something specific, you put a variable. Here, it prints out the whole array. Don't need to put anything to stop it or end it. It'll just print out the entire array, which is very useful, very powerful. Okay? Hopefully you understand double arrays a little bit better, and also understand the for each loop a little better. I will see you in the next video.